here with Omni Chiropractic, providing solutions to pain and performance. I want to talk about how we can kind of build a better squat using your anatomy rather than working against it. I'm joined by Abby. She's a patient of mine that we've actually worked on this with. She's a competent weightlifter, power lifter, but we've kind of given her a little advice, kind of selecting a width that works for her anatomy. She also happens to be a Palmer Chiropractic student, so I'm going to have her lay on her back. The first test, obviously we would have her do a squat, we'd watch her move, but then we want to kind of lay her down and get a better idea of what these hips look like through movement. So what we start with is we're just going to do a passive hip flexion test. So if I just kind of let her relax this and we just bring it up, we kind of just take note of where this kind of knee hip wants to be. And then we can kind of glide it up into 90-degree angle, and I'm going to check hip rotation in both directions on both sides. So if I bring her foot out towards me, I'm trying to get an idea of what type of internal rotation she has and how that feels at end range. So she has a good amount of hip rotation internally, kind of has a soft infield, maybe a little bit of muscle tightness. And then if we go the other way into external rotation, you can kind of see she has quite a lot of external rotation. So she doesn't lack external rotation, she might be a little bit limited into internal rotation. When she brings her thigh up, she kind of naturally just wants to fall out here a little bit. If you could see her face, sometimes when we bring people's hips up, they get a little pinching feeling. She actually has dealt with a little bit of that on the right side. So we bring her up, kind of look at her face, no pinching there. We can't really tell because she has a mask on, but we do our best. So then you want to check that on the other side, kind of the passive hip raise, just kind of feel for where it wants to fall. And then we want to check both internal rotation, external rotation. Then from here, we want to do what's called a hip scouring test. So this was kind of presented by Dr. Stuart McGill. I basically just want to kind of glide her hip in the socket. Everybody has kind of a unique anatomy in their pelvis. I'm just feeling kind of where that pelvis wants to fall, where that femur wants to fall. So with her, and what I know about her is that she tends to, if she really wants to squat deep, she's gonna have to go a little bit wider. So if I keep her pretty neutral, we kind of run out of room there. That's where it gets a little bound up. But if she goes just a touch wider, she can kind of sit into that a little bit deeper. So then if I have Abby kind of switch over into a quadruped position where she's on all fours, we can kind of talk about this a little bit more. So if she starts pretty narrow and we're kind of mimicking a squat and she transitions her backside towards her heels, like we start to see some rounding. Like this isn't a good thing. If she had weight on the bar, this isn't a safe position for her lumbar spine. So she's gonna need to go a little bit wider. So we can kind of adjust the width of her stance. Now we can kind of think about staying long, staying neutral if this sits here. Now as she sits back, she's able to maintain that position, kind of keep her spine in a safe position. So she's gonna wanna squat in a similar pattern to where this is. So if we were just to take her, pick her up and stand her up, that would be a good way for her to deep squat safely and effectively if she had weight on her spine. You know, if she's just doing a body weight movement, it doesn't really matter. She can round through here, kind of work those hips. But what I know about Abby is that she tends to favor, she's pretty competent squatter, so I think she can squat a lot of different ways, but to kind of avoid some of the pinching in that right into your hip, she's going to want to go a little bit wider because that's where she's able to find that groove. So this is a great way to kind of build a squat, look at the patient's anatomy, and kind of find a position or a movement that's really going to suit them. So thank you very much for tuning in.